Well before Apple came to the scene with their wearable technology, the Apple Watch, companies have been working on smartwatches specifically for the Android platform, and we're going to take a look at one today from Sony. I think what's interesting is looking at their second generation compared to now their third generation.
Yeah, I wish I had the first one. It was a couple of years ago. It was so bad, but kudos to Sony for getting into the game early, because that's how you learn. And each step you get better and better. So before we get into the Sony Smartwatch 3, let's just look at the Smartwatch 2 and just see the physical differences.
This is like a throwback Thursday.
Absolutely. What they were really trying to do was make the smartwatch an extension of your phone, almost to look like an Android phone. So you have your back button, you got the home button, and then you have the multitasking button on the side. What they did by going through the Smartwatch 3 was to use Android Wear, and that's the new operating system that they're making for wearables by Google. So what do you think? Because you know what, you couldn't have found two better guys to review an Android Wear smartwatch because we're both Android users.
Yeah, I took mine off because we're looking at the Sony one. But well, I'll put this down, but I think that the design that they've come out with for the new Sony 3 is beautiful. It's a great looking watch, definitely an improvement on the second one, and I think the Android Wear, the advancement in that technology alone has made very competitive product to what Apple is coming to the marketplace with, and way more cost effective too.
And they're kind of a different philosophy between Apple and Android Wear, because Apple has like apps built into the watch, and they want you to like send these little love taps and stuff like that. What Android Wear is basically push notifications that you would get from your smartphone, but now you get it on your wrist. So say you're in a board meeting and somebody emails you, you're gonna get a little vibration. You can look and see what the email is, rather than take your phone out, which is kind of rude.
But
it makes it look like you're looking at the time.
Yeah, which makes it look like you're bored of the meeting you're in, which I find really funny because I'm constantly going like this, and people are like, "Oh, am I wasting your time right now?"
Well, another thing is because all these Android watches, they use a LED screen, so they're bright, and I always see people looking at my wrist. It's like, what's that thing shining on the side of your wrist?
Yeah. Well, the other thing that's interesting, you mentioned the vibration. So every time you get a text message, a WhatsApp message, maybe you have Car2Go app and it's telling you there's a new Car2Go near you, all sorts of things, whatever, even your phone ringing, it vibrates. And I was playing golf one afternoon and forgot to turn the notifications off. Let me tell you, it added about 5 strokes to my game because I kept screwing up my putts.
Sure, I bet you put it on for purpose just so you have an excuse.
Pretty much. Game. But like Andy says, it's push technology, so it's an extension of your mobile phone onto your wrist. They really do work similarly between the different devices that you look at, but the one thing about the Sony 3 that's very cool is it's actually got the built-in charging station, which is a huge benefit compared to some of the other devices we've seen out there. I'm just going to show you here. It's one of the few Android watches out right now that actually have, I'm having trouble with it, Andy.
Yeah, it's actually really tough to take off, but the Sony Smartwatch 2 also had a micro USB connection, and I'm glad that Sony kept that because all the other smartwatches on the scene right now require cradles to charge.
Yeah, so just take a look back there. And the one problem with having the cradle to charge is that if you actually go on holiday or something and you forget to bring your charging cradle, you'll be in big trouble. You won't be able to charge your watch, and then it'll be sort of useless. So building that into the watch is a great idea. What they also did with the Sony 3 is they built in GPS, which is kind of cool because now you don't need to have your phone with you to take advantage of the map. So for example, if you go for a run, you don't want to carry a clunky phone with you, but you want to keep track of either where you went or even know where you're going. Having that GPS feature built in, very smart.
However, what it is missing from the sports side is there is no heart rate monitor on.
No.
So while you do have the GPS, you're not going to get your heart rate. Another thing that I don't really like about this watch, just compared to the other Android watches, the screen doesn't seem as bright compared to, say, like the Moto 360 or the LG G watch. So, but
it's probably comparable to the LG G, but that Moto, the one that you're using, really it stands out. Yeah, but no, definitely a nice screen. You can see here, I've got complete flexibility to change the look and feel of the watch, different screens that I can put on in terms of how I want the time represented. I always found this one's kind of neat.
And that's the kind of common theme you're going to see with Android Wear watches, that you're going to have that same functionality. So to move from one to the other is pretty easy. But personally, this is Sony's third version of the smartwatch. I still don't like it. I think there's other better versions out there, especially the Moto 360. Even the LG G watch, which came out before this, is still a pretty good one. And they look very, very similar. So if you are in the market for a smartwatch, you have a lot of different choices, including the Sony Smartwatch 3.
pop
Kinda
that
cool,
back
you can
in.
pop it out.
Yeah, that's nice. Change different. But again, you have to go with Sony's bands,
Yeah,
which is kind of what Apple did.
That's how they make money.